Coming to you from BLC Studios in Mankato, Minnesota, this is the Bethany Vikings podcast. Hosted by Brock Akert, Jake Anderson, and Gabe Stace. It's time to go inside Bethany Athletics.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another week of the Bethany Vikings podcast. My name, Jake Anderson, Brock Akert along with me for this week. Brock, we got a lot to kind of talk about and unpack here as we're moving swiftly from the winter sports into the spring sports. Both our baseball and softball teams are down in the warmth, getting out of the cold Minnesota air for a bit, playing down in Florida and Arizona. We also have some awards to unpack for track and field, as those were announced after our last podcast and our last podcast episode. So why don't we start with the track awards?
Yeah, and we'll end with the interviews with Kayla Senne and Ross Beumer.
All right. So we'll start with awards on the men's side, and unsurprisingly, Jake Marzinski named all-conference for triple jump and 60-meter hurdles. He won both of those events back at the end of February. And then he was also actually named the Bethany representative for the Umac Sportsmanship Award. So shout out to Jake Marzinski, who is currently ranked in the top 25 in triple jump as well in the nation, hoping that with his meet at Wartburg, he can maybe break into that top 20 and possibly head to nationals for the first time in program history. We won't know the results of that during this podcast, since we're recording here before we both head out on spring break. But good year for Jake Marzinski, kind of interrupted by COVID, but was able to make the most out of it in conference.
How close was he and maybe Keegan Retch a couple years ago? Didn't they go to the same event?
They both went to Wartburg. I don't know how close they were to going to Natties. I know that year they were just going back and forth with school records. It's like Keegan would have a school record jump, and then Jake would have a school record jump, and then Keegan would and Jake would. Like, literally that whole year, it was just them going back and forth and whatnot, and it was actually really entertaining to watch. It was just kind of like, no, I'm going to take it. No, I'm going to take it. No, I'm going to take it. No, I'm going to take it, and different things like that. So it was really cool to kind of see them. But both of those two have been doing pretty well at their respective schools. Keegan has since transferred actually to Wartburg, which is where Jake is going down to. So a chance for them to kind of reunite. And
are they going against each other?
Keegan focuses more on long jump than triple jump. Jake will focus more triple than long, so they kind of like are doing separate events in that term. Triple jump, you have different phases. Instead of just trying to jump as long as you can, there's like a hop, skip, and a jump, essentially, is the way I describe it, versus long jump, where you're just running and jumping about as far as you can in that sense. So yeah, so they both do different events, but they'll both kind of see each other since they'll be at the same area for competition and whatnot. So
sorry for them.
Yeah, for sure. Then on the women's side, Stephanie Whitbrode continues her fantastic freshman year. She took top scoring athlete of the meet on the women's side, also won field athlete of the meet and rookie of the year. We had Emily Jackson, a freshman jumper for Bethany's women's team, place all conference. She took second in long jump. Kayla Tobin took first in the 3K and the 5K, and was all conference for that. And then Whitbrode was second in the 60-meter hurdles, first in high jump, first in long jump, first in triple jump. And Jasmine Bejarano was the Bethany representative for the Umac Sportsmanship Awards. So, again, a stellar indoor season for Whitbrode. She's actually going to go compete in a multi, which is kind of like what it sounds. It's basically multiple events scored in one meet. She did 9 events at conference. 9.
Is that more than anyone else?
That's, like, for example, I did 5. So she was doing, what'd she do? She did both shot put and weight throw. She did 60-meter hurdles, 4x2 and 4x4, and then long, triple, and high. That's 9, right? I can't even keep track. Like, it's insane the amount of events that she did, but still had a really solid meet, was able to score a lot of good points. I mean, the 3 first that she got was 30 points right there, and then the second was another 8, and then she scored in a couple other events. So really good weekend for Stephanie and looking to keep building on that and whatnot heading into the outdoor season.
Yeah, track and field ended their, like you said, their indoor season. Now they'll start with the outdoor after these regionals that they're in right now. A couple of teams that kicked off their season already, starting with baseball now. They started off their season on Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. Against St. John's, one of the better baseball programs in Division III, and the Vikings won. They came back from a 4-0 lead, trailing from a 4-0 lead by St. John's, and they came back and beat them 8-6 in 9 innings.
Can we just talk about for a second 5:30 first pitch in the morning?
They had a couple. I think they practiced Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15. At the MSU, so I think that kind of trained them. But yeah, that's way too early for me.
But it's like you sit there and think about, all right, training is one thing, but being able to like hype yourself, I couldn't even imagine like waking up at 3:30 in the morning, like, all right, we got to go, take some BP, throw around a little bit, get loosened up, and then all right, we're playing a game at 5:30. I'm sure it's different for them, obviously, but for me, it's just like I can't imagine that. I'd want to be still in bed under the covers and whatnot.
Well, especially with, I think it's kind of interesting for like freshmen. Your first ever collegiate game
right.
is at 5:30 in the morning at US Bank Stadium. I think that is actually crazy when you think about it.
And playing at US Bank Stadium too, that has to be like cool in a sense that like, oh yeah, a lot of those guys might be Vikings fans or something like that. So you get to play on the same field as the Vikings, but then to have it configured from a football stadium to a baseball stadium, that has to be entertaining too.
Yeah, we asked Ross Beumer about that here. You'll get his answer coming up in the show. But to lead into this game 8-6, this was the only sporting event since we recorded last. So we don't have a women's Bethany Viking Player of the Week award, but we got a men's award from this game, and that's going to be Hunter Pierce. We talk about we were down 0-4, but thanks to him, he helped us get back into this game. He went 2 for 4, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, a walk. And then he also had a leadoff triple in the 9th inning and scored the lead-in run in the 9th and helped the Vikings pull off a win against St. John's.
We talk about, or we will talk about a lot of the youth on this Vikings team, and we're going to see, just exactly what this Vikings team has as they go down to Arizona, get some games in there and whatnot. And we'll ask Ross what to kind of look forward to in terms of, players and freshmen that we're going to have to watch this year. But Hunter Pierce coming in, stepping in a big way, especially in that 7th spot, a guy that, they usually want big at-bats out of, but really anytime he can get on base, they'll usually take in that 7th spot. But for him to have the night that, or I guess the morning that he did at the plate and stuff like that and playing a huge part for this Vikings team in that first game was pretty solid and had a good day behind the plate too.
Yeah, as a catcher, that's great to get that production from him because, being a catcher is not easy on the body. But he barely beat out this other player that's the honorable mention. That's Adam Fierstead. He came in with 3 innings pitched of relief, no hits, 1 run allowed, none earned, 4 strikeouts, and he didn't walk anyone either. And that's what I think is interesting to watch with baseball. You come into the year, is pitchers sometimes are a little inaccurate. Because it's your first time on the mound the whole year. You've been not playing for, 8 months? And during that game, Bethany pitchers only had 1 walk between the 3. In 9 innings, only 1 walk. I think our pitching staff is going to be good this year, and that's a stat I really like to see.
I think that's important to talk about, like you mentioned, is pitchers being able to kind of control the strike zone and throw strikes, make batters kind of have to swing at pitches and whatnot, especially if they're going to be close. You talk about only having 1 walk through 9 innings. That is a very solid day at the office for that pitching staff. And Fierstead coming in, throwing 3 innings and being able to just kind of be dominant, had those 4 strikeouts. I think he faced 11 batters. Being able to come in and kind of have that long relief closer type role, almost kind of like what Josh Hader was to the 2018 Milwaukee Brewers, being able to go out there for 2 to 3 innings and just throw shutdown ball and being able to kind of dominate in that sense. That's going to be something big moving forward for this Vikings team.
Yeah, I think he's taken the Logan Nesson role, who's now playing baseball out in North Dakota professionally. So that's kind of cool to see our baseball program really recruiting well and have a lot of good players. And I think we kind of see that. We talk about, like, people talk about Major League Baseball. Some of your better pitchers now are the swingmen in the relief that can go 2-3 innings every other day. And I like that. What Adam's probably our best pitcher, and I think you're going to see him in the relief so he can be in so many different games to help close out another win. Talk about walks. The Vikings offense draw 6 walks, and Ross Beumer, 2 of them. Verdugo went 2 for 6 with 2 RBIs. Brent Fowler went 3 for 5. Jake LaBerge, he had an RBI double as well. That came huge for the Vikings in their 8-6 victory. Their second game, they were leading 8-2 in the 6th inning, but they're going to finish that at a later date. I think there's a time limit with U.S. Bank, so we'll see how that ends. But a really good start for the Vikings going into their Arizona trip.
Yeah, I know that first game went almost 3 hours or something like that, and I'm sure because I know there's it was more than just St. John's and Bethany playing at the at U.S. Bank, so I think there was a bunch of teams that were still in there, and they had some time schedule or something like that. I asked Matt Verdugo about it. He's like, yeah, this is essentially what happened. So looking forward to hopefully being able to close out that second game, get another win on the record. But, yeah, they'll be moving on down to Arizona, where we'll see them play 8 times in just 5 days.
Absolutely. Going on to now softball here. Just really quick, they didn't play a game since we last record. This is coming out Tuesday. So they will have played a couple games against Marietta College and St. Mary's College in there, a couple other teams. But we'll just go over them a little bit to see who stood out for them so far this year, to give you a little bit of a preview. Eden Ambrose and Kaya Mork. Those two are batting .526 and .458, and they're really picking up a really good offense for the Vikings here to start the season. Zoe Kanakin, Alyssa Costa, and Haley Stockman, who did really good last year. They're a little struggling a little bit at the beginning, but that's huge to have those other people step up, because those other bats that are struggling right now are going to turn it around, and to have that complete of a team, I think that's really exciting for the Vikings.
I think, yeah, especially being able to have players, like we've seen Zoe just be so good the past few years that, a little slow start, I don't think you can blame her. But being able to have other bats kind of around her, being able to pick up the slack a little bit, like I'm sure Zoe's going to return to form a little bit, maybe shaking out the rust off a little bit. I mean, she was, in the fall, she plays goalkeeper for our soccer team, and then in the spring, she plays softball. So, just getting a little used to it. And we talked about the men's team playing at the U.S. Bank Stadium. The women's, or the softball team, they play at the Dome over at MSU. So I kind of wonder, same thing, like what that's like compared to playing in a normal, like, outdoor field and whatnot, and different things like that. But Kaya Mork especially has just been so good the past 8 games or so for this Bethany team, and she's been able to really kind of step up and be able to pick up some of the slack, but also just being able to play at a high energy level and whatnot. I mean, they played number 12 UW Oshkosh in their last game and played them really close too, and I think that's a bright spot, especially just because you look at their game previous and it was a blowout loss, but then they were able to shake that off and come back and play pretty well against a top 25 team in the country. So,
yeah, Kaya Mork, 11 hits, leads the team. She also has 6 RBIs. In softball and baseball, it's a game of failure, right? So you're going to go through some slumps, right? And it's about your whole team just can't go through them at the same time. Otherwise, it gets really brutal. But they're evening out, and I think you're going to see some statistics even out as well. And the Vikings 4-4 against a tough schedule to start the year. And this year, they already played more games than anyone in the Umac already. They've already played 8 games. I think North Central's second. They're 1-6, right? We're 4-4. We have the most wins in the Umac right now, regular season. And we'll see what we can do down in Florida. It'll be fun to watch. Another big part of their success is Kayla Senne, and she has got a 1.7 ERA. She's 4-2 on the season. She threw that 5th no-hitter in program history, and we'll talk to her here now on the Bethany Vikings podcast. We are now joined by the Bethany softball ace, Kayla Senne. She comes to us as a freshman, and she's been dominant, winning 2 Umac Pitchers of the Week, and we're excited to have her on the show. How are you doing today, Kayla?
I'm doing great.
So, Kayla, where are you from? You're a freshman. You just come out on campus, and then you've just been dominant. 2 Umac Player of the Weeks already. What has made you feel comfortable right away to start the season?
Well, the chemistry throughout the team has been really, really good. It has like me backed up, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not nervous about anybody. Everybody has each other's back. We're just really good together.
And it sounds, looking at the statistics, you got Mork as well, a freshman. Haley Stockman was a really good freshman for us last year. So you have a lot of good youth on the team as well.
Mm-hmm. We do.
And then Zoe Kanakin and Alyssa Acosta, the seniors. How does the balance of having really good young talent and the leaders as well at top round out the team?
We definitely have really good leadership throughout the team. Eden, Alyssa, and Zoe are really good leaders. They just like help us freshmen, especially figure things out, work as a team, provide a good base for it.
Were you as successful like you are with Bethany back in high school, or explain how good you were just last year as a senior?
So I went to a small high school. The defense here definitely has, I'm not afraid to let them hit the ball, have short little pop-ups or easy little hits. I know the defense got my back at this point.
And they obviously helped you out throwing the fifth all-time no-hitter in Bethany history. Was that your first no-hitter in your career going back to high school?
Yes, throughout high school, I think so.
Okay, but you probably did when you were in middle school softball.
Yeah, and traveling teams and stuff like that.
So what is it like? When you're like in the third inning, fourth inning? That was 5 innings, right, of no-hit softball. When did you feel like, all right, this is actually going to happen?
I didn't know that I was throwing a no-hitter because John told me after the game that I had actually thrown a no-hitter. I didn't know throughout the whole thing. It just didn't.
So even the last out, you didn't even know?
No. I just kept going and kept playing the game.
So who your coach told you then when you got off? Did your defense and the rest of the team know, or?
I have no idea if they knew, but I definitely didn't know. I just kept playing.
That's unbelievable. I can't. That's crazy. That tells you your coaches make you stay focused on the task at hand if you didn't even know the no-hitter. That's awesome. So was there any key plays in that no-hitter? I know when you watch baseball, there's a couple plays you go back of an amazing defensive catch. What was the best defensive play that keep that no-hitter available? Do you remember?
My outfield especially has my back, especially Eden. A lot of short pop flies go out to her, and she just snags everything. She's got my back, especially this weekend. She made some pretty spectacular plays. Her and the shortstop was pretty good this weekend.
That's great. And you guys weren't playing an easy schedule to start off. You're 4-4, but that's really actually good when you look at the scope of all the people you played. You played really tough against University of Wisconsin Oshkosh. You only gave up 3 runs to them, and they're number 12 in D3. How does that give you guys some confidence as you go to Orlando tomorrow?
Yeah, that was very big. We just played right with them. It was crazy.
And you said you went to a small high school. How is the difference of competition then from high school to college? Because if you went to a small high school, I know this is Division III, but there's some good softball teams, and you're still really, really dominant.
Yeah, we in high school there was good bats, but especially at college, they are able to hit a lot more than in high school. I have to really focus on my placement and my spins at college.
Can you go into detail a little bit of that? I know baseball, you got a fastball, you got maybe a curveball, a changeup. What is your pitch repertoire?
I throw a screwball, a curveball, a changeup, fastball, and rise ball a little bit.
You have 5 pitches.
Yeah. Okay,
I can see how you threw a no-hitter now, and you're 2-time Umac Player of the Week already. So when did you learn those pitches? A screwball, so you got, screwball goes, are you right-handed? Mm-hmm. So the screwball goes right?
It goes from the outside of the plate to the inside of the plate if you're a right-handed batter.
Okay, outside and inside if you're right-handed, and then the curve goes the other way. Mm-hmm. You got the changeup, does that drop a little bit?
Yes.
The fastball straight, and you have a rise ball.
Yeah.
So you literally have a pitch that goes every direction.
I try.
Where do you learn all of this stuff?
I was on a traveling team for many, many years. Started really young, 12, maybe even younger than that. Played on a traveling team every summer.
So what made you pick Bethany? Because I'm guessing you had a lot of different opportunities then with how good of a pitcher you've been.
The coaches especially, and John, especially our pitching coach, he teaches, or he believes in the same pitching technique that I pitch. So it's really, he can help me with anything that I need, really. he knows like what I can fix to make my spin rate faster or my location better. Him, Dan Nestler, we just have a really good coaching base.
And so Nestler, and you pitch almost every game. That's what I think is so interesting about softball. It's like you can pitch almost every day. I think you've appeared in 6 of the 8 games, started 5 of them. Can you explain that communication with like Nestler? Does he ask you, okay, how you feeling today? How many pitch do you ever have a pitch count? Or can you kind of explain what goes into pitching a softball, like the recovery for an arm?
So I usually pitch about a full game or come in as like relief. But on Sunday, I believe, I pitched the 7 a.m. game, only threw like 70 pitches, and coach was like, is it okay if I start you the next game? I'm like, yeah, heck yeah. My arm was feeling good. It was pretty easy.
So you said you played travel ball. You're going to Orlando. We're recording this Thursday. This will come out on Tuesday. But when this comes out, you'll be in Orlando. Have you ever been to Florida before?
Yes, many, many times. But I've never played softball in Orlando or Florida.
So what are you looking forward to with that trip? I know this would be your first trip with Bethany. Have the seniors talked to you about that experience and what you're going to get to do during your time at Orlando? Do you have a itinerary of maybe some fun events you might go to?
Yeah, so we're actually in houses. So we're in 2 houses. So the softball team is kind of like split, but in a way we're still together because we'll do everything as a team. But we're in a resort, so there's like pools and stuff like that, which we'll do obviously as a team. There's a talent show at the end of the week. Ooh. So everybody kind of gets to get out of their comfort zone and mend as a team.
Do you know what you're going to do at the talent show?
Of course.
What are you going to do? You don't have to do it for me now.
No, that's a secret. That's a secret.
Are you guys going to put it on I know Nestler does a good job on the social media. Do you think you'll post some of that on?
I hope.
All right. Well, stay tuned to that. Going with the spring break theme, we'll end this interview here with some of spring break questions that I came up with. First one, you said you've been to Florida a lot, but what is your favorite vacation spot? Say you didn't have softball, you had the whole spring break, your parents would buy you a plane ticket with your friends to go anywhere. Where would you go?
I really like Arizona, especially, like warmer climates, for sure.
Okay. Have you played softball in Arizona?
I have not. I played softball in Alabama, but I have not played softball in Arizona.
Who's the number 1 team in college? Is it Oklahoma for softball? I think it's Oklahoma. I think Zoe Kinnack and I do phone-a-thon with her, and she put up that first game of Oklahoma. I think they're playing, I don't know, a no-name team, and they scored like 12 runs before they got an out. Oklahoma's crazy at softball.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, so if you go to Arizona, you're going to Orlando, you're going to be in an airplane, right? Mm-hmm. What do you do on the plane?
Well, we don't play like the next day. So it'll just be talking to the team, relaxing, nothing too stressful on the plane. I'm not a huge fan of planes.
Right.
So that's gonna...
The ear pop gets me every time, right?
Takeoff and landing.
On your way back for Orlando, this podcast will come out. You can hear yourself, so you might want to download the podcast, listen on the way back. Airplanes, different people react different ways. I could never sleep on a plane. Do you ever fall? Can you sleep on a plane? I don't know how people do that.
It's just so uncomfortable. Like, especially if you don't have the window seat, what are you supposed to lay on? Like, it's just so uncomfortable.
You have to buy one of those wrap pillow type things.
Yeah.
Usually some people on spring break, if they're not in sports, they go back to their home and maybe binge a TV show. What show are you binge watching a TV show right now? Do you get into Netflix or anything like that?
Yes, I like TV shows rather than movies. My favorite series is probably The 100.
And what is that on?
It's on Netflix.
Netflix 100. Well, that's a little bit about Kayla Senne. Thank you for joining us today, Kayla, and good luck in Orlando. And maybe win another Umac Player of the Week. Let's go 3 for 3. That was Kayla Senne, and now we're joined by 3-time first-team All-Conference and 2-time Umac champion Ross Beumer. Jenkins here with me alongside to interview one of the all-time greats in baseball at Bethany. How are you doing today, Ross?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
all-time greats, does that just like boost your ego a little bit, you know?
No. Try to stay humble best I can.
3-time first-team all-conference, 2-time Umac champion. I think he's on his way to the Hall of Fame.
Hey, you know what? That's fair. Valid. So my first question to you is, you guys are heading down to Arizona. You'll be down in Arizona by the time that this episode of the podcast is released. What are the feelings like going back down there after 2020 and the whole season was canceled down there for you guys?
It's kind of like bittersweet. We were all talking about it. Like, we didn't know what was going to happen after that. Obviously we didn't have it last year, so we kind of missed out on a few games down there. But no, we're all excited and ready to get going. We're going to have some good competition down there, so it should be fun.
Talking about getting going, you already got going playing at the Vikings Stadium in US Bank, and you beat a really good St. John's team the very first game. Then a game 2 got halted, but how did that go for you guys' mindset now that, man, we're starting right away? Because I know sometimes you guys start off a little shaky and then you really pick it up in the Umac, but right now you're looking really good.
Yeah, it was nice to get back into it and play someone else and, you know, actually see the ball differently in a dome and face pitchers that aren't our own. It was kind of just good to see like where we were at as a team, and obviously bats came alive, pitching, we pitched amazing. If we keep playing like that, it should be a fun season.
What's it like waking up at like 1 in the morning? I don't know when you guys woke up, but you were playing at 5:30 in the morning. And for me, being a track athlete, you know, we're practicing at 5:30 in the morning, but we aren't competing like that. So what was that experience like?
Well, luckily we stayed the night in Minneapolis, so we didn't have to wake up as early. But you know, regardless, 5:30 in the morning's 5:30 in the morning. But I don't know, it was just fun. It was game day, so you got different feels there, and just kind of wake up and ready to go.
How does the ball travel at US Bank? Is it just normal, or?
Honestly, it's like weird. It's depth perception because it's like it's so big, so it's kind of hard to see it. And you got like all the glass windows, so the ball blends in there. But ball honestly doesn't travel as much as you'd think in there.
Was it kind of hard to track, like up in the ceiling, especially like watching them fly a ball and stuff? Like, was it harder to track, or?
Yeah, sometimes like you would lose it. And then obviously there's a lot of lights in there. So sometimes you would find it and sometimes you would lose it, but we made it do.
So how do you feel about you guys? I know you already played against St. John's. You return a lot of people like yourself, Jake LaBerge, Hunter Pierce, and Adam Fierstead for pitching. You did lose Logan Nesson, McBroom. I think Matt Wood is not playing this year. So how do you feel about some of the people that are coming back, and how are you going to fill the voids of other people?
We have a lot of young guys that are going to step up and play significant roles early on. I think we found that out against St. John's. We had a lot of younger guys step up in big spots and actually do very well. As far as like the returners go, there's a lot of experience there. So we should be able to guide the younger guys in big situations and just make sure the moment isn't too big and they just stay in the moment.
And you're a captain this year, right?
Yep.
Is this your first time you're a captain?
No, I've been captain since my junior year.
So what does that role mean for you these last 2 years? Do you act any different when you're a captain, or?
No, I just kind of try to be myself. Help the younger guys when they need it and just lead by example. I mean, I'm not a vocal guy by any means.
Do you have a favorite song? Like what's your walk-up song? Is it something that like kind of helps you chill out? Is it something to get you pumped up? What's your kind of like mojo going into an at-bat?
Honestly, I don't hear the walk-up song too much. I kind of just try to tone it out and just focus on the pitcher, like what they're going to pitch me. But if I were to listen to my walk-up song, actually, it's something that has some catchy beat to it. Usually gets stuck in my head for the rest of the game.
Okay. Looking at the schedule for spring training, it looks like you guys have a bunch of double headers throughout your whole entire time there. What's it like having double headers, not only, you know, back-to-back games like that, but then to have multiple days of, all right, we're going to be playing this team and then this team, and then we got to wake up and have 2 more games the next day, 2 more games the next day, 2 more games the next day. What's it kind of like, you know, being in a different area, different environment, and then having multiple games on back-to-back days like that?
It's just exciting to get back into it, play different competition. It's kind of what we kind of just do, just wake up, play, and repeat.
Do you have anything to get the body ready, like 8 games in 5 days? And I know when the season gets started, you guys have maybe like 6 games a week. That's what I think people don't understand with college baseball. Like you only have a couple months, but you play like 40 games, and it's really tight.
We just try to stay healthy, you know, stretching, taking care of our bodies, whether it's like going to the trainers to get heating done, icing, massage guns, that type of thing. Just try to keep the body as healthy as we can.
What's it been like going from the kind of natural playing field that was at Bethany before we got the turf soccer field and whatnot, then transitioning over to ISG field and playing over there. What's that been like in comparison to, playing on natural grass versus turf like that?
It's a lot nicer, I'd think. You'd get true hops. Like there's not bad hops, but it's just a lot easier, I guess. Knowing how it plays and that type of thing.
Okay.
Talk about Arizona. You're gonna have a lot of games, and then right away afterwards, who do we not know as fans on the team that we will know in 2 weeks? Who's gonna perform that? Maybe a freshman or a newcomer.
A couple newcomers that can perform. Gavin Jacobson on the mound. Aiden Russell at first base. Malachi, and there's a few others that I think you'll get to know their names real fast.
And then the last one, question that I got, you were picked to finish in second place this year. After the 2 prior years, you won the Umac. Does that kind of take your target off your back now that you're in second place? You're in more of attack mode, or what does that second place voted by the coaches mean to you?
I think there's always going to be a target on our back because of what we kind of have going here. But at the same time, it takes the bigger target off our back, but lights a bigger fire because nobody really likes to get picked number 2.
What's it been like to see the team kind of staying in that 40 to 50 players range and stuff like that, having a lot of guys, a lot of new faces coming in year after year?
It's good to see that. Means we're doing things the right way here. People want to play here and be a part of what we have going on.
Being a fifth year, do you ever sit there and be like, all right, we got all these new freshmen in, and trying to keep track of different faces and whatnot? Do you find yourself kind of struggling to remember names a little bit out the gate, or is it just we'll figure it out as we go?
Yeah, it's kind of we'll figure it out as we go. There's always a lot of guys, a lot of new guys. So, we get to know each other pretty quickly with how much time we spend together.
What's been your favorite memory from the past 4 years heading into the season? What's kind of you think back about playing here at Bethany, and what's that moment that you're yeah, this was it. This is the moment.
Honestly, I think winning the conference tournament my freshman year, the first time seeing the looks on all the guys' faces, we finally did it. We finally got over the hump. I think that's probably my favorite moment.
What's a dog pile like for people that see it? Because it just seems like it's just a rush of bodies just jumping in on each other and whatnot. And there's been a lot of talk about guys getting injured, coming out bloody or whatever. What's it like being in that moment?
Honestly, I don't get to experience the dog pile too much. I'm kind of just on top of it because I'm always the last one there because I got such far run from the outfield. But the guys the catchers and the closing pitcher and the infielders, they said it gets pretty heavy pretty fast.
Well, sounds good. Well, thank you for
whoa. We
what?
got the spring break questions.
Spring break?
Yeah. It's spring break. This is coming out, so we have a couple questions for you. The first one, Ross. Let's say you're a millionaire or your parents can buy you 3 plane tickets. Who are the 2 guys you're going to take with you to have a lot of fun, and where are you going to go?
I think we'd probably have to go to Hawaii, and I'm taking Adam and probably Jake LeBerge with me.
Hawaii?
Yeah, Hawaii.
You wouldn't want to go down and watch more baseball down in Florida or Arizona? I guess you're going down there, but go watch the pros or anything?
Nah.
No? Just go.
This is the have fun.
This is the have fun. Okay.
Okay, second question. You're going to be on a plane going to Arizona. What do you do on the plane?
Honestly, I just listen to music. Hopefully look out the window if I get the window seat. Not a whole lot to do on the plane. If
you're sitting next to a freshman, you're just going to say, nope, window seat's mine, get out?
No, I'll let the freshman have it. I'll let the freshman have it.
And then what show are you binging right now? Some people that don't have money, they probably have to stay home, but they have Netflix. Everyone has Netflix. So
We love Netflix.
What's the show that you're into right now?
I'm really into Criminal Minds. I think I've watched that 3 or 4 different times.
Do you watch Formula One at all? Formula One racing?
No, I don't.
I'm into Formula One Drive to Survive. It's basically just behind the scenes of how everything operates there. It's entertaining as heck. Enjoying it a lot right now. Not gonna lie.
What am I watching right now? Did you just ask me that?
Yeah, I did actually ask you that.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth right now with 2 different sitcoms, Seinfeld and The Simpsons. It's unbelievable. I've never seen them before. It's a good laugh.
Honestly, I thought you were going to say Gilmore Girls or something like that,
Oh, One Tree Hill. That was totally last year. Wait, nothing wrong with that.
Hey, no, definitely not.
We don't judge on this podcast. Whatever you say, we won't ridicule.
Hey, I'm
TV
not
shows
judging.
you
I
show.
just think it's hilarious.
Well, Ross, thank you for joining us this week, and good luck in Arizona. And hopefully we can get another Umac championship.
Yep, that's a plan. Thanks for having me.
And do us all a favor, bring back some warm weather.
Oh,
60s, 70s preferably. We don't need the dry Arizona heat or whatever, like the 90s, and that can stay down there. But if you bring back 60s, 70s, I think we'll all take that for a little bit.
We'll try.
So that's it for the Bethany Vikings podcast. Come back next week. We'll probably have another softball player, maybe baseball, getting some tennis. We'll see.
Track.
Going on track. You guys, I thought you just had the Umac championships.
Yeah, but we have outdoor.
Oh, I guess the track season never sleeps.
Yeah, track never sleeps.
Thanks for joining us, you guys. See you next week.